Okay. Literally exactly. Okay. So let's start by talking about yesterday. That was the lesson that I came in for was when you guys were in the middle talking about the map and you were asking questions, like you started with asking questions around where the north was. You didn't even say what's in the north, but you basically, whatever the question you asked was getting to basically check, like, if I say what's in the north, like, do you know what I'm talking about? And then they started to talk about that body of water and the effect that the body of water had on the landscape and all of the pieces. How do you feel like that lesson went?
I mean, overall, one of the better ones, but way too slow. I just got caught up in those maps and talk about the maps and.
Tell me what felt better about it, because I agree with you. I think that's one of the strongest discourses I've seen kids engage in. Not really engaging in the discourse, that's not what I mean, but like they really understood what you were doing, right?
So,
why do you think that was going so well?
geography stuff I think is a little bit easier for them overall, just because they had like geography.
Like you began
lessons.
history of geography.
Yeah. So I think that in general, anytime you bring up a map, they're more into it. Not like they're perfect at it, but
plus it's easier than needing to read, right?
Absolutely.
So there's that.
Absolutely. You can just look at it and be like, oh.
Okay. What do you think you did though? Because I agree.
So yeah, yesterday was what I usually call like a rebuild day, behavioral rebuild day, which really is just me thoroughly making sure that I am making sure every single student is on following expectations. Every single one. Okay, because I definitely noticed that the kids that like get back on track super quickly, sometimes I don't give warning, or I don't give them that warning. But then I know that leads to other kids seeing that. Why aren't they getting warning? They're talking and whispering right next to me. Yes, it's a little different because you're talking through me talking right now. However, they're doing something wrong too. So it was, I think a lot of it had to do with me making sure I was not letting any little thing go. Like any little thing go. Whispering to your friend, that's a warning. And once in the beginning of class, you kind of came in like halfway through. So I had already, it had been like 5 to 10 minutes of them really struggling because they were not used to that. They were not used to me. You have a warning, you have a warning, you have a warning. Even the quote unquote good kids in the class, you're talking, you have a warning. You're talking again, you have a consequence. I think that they all were like taken back a little bit by it, and so that then they're more on it, they're participating more. They're overall just paying attention more. I mean, that's really, with history, you need to follow it from the beginning to the end. You can't just try to get one little concept in the middle of and then try to answer your exit to the end.
Right.
It has to be like a progressive start here.
Yes.
Learn about this stuff in the beginning.
I
Just
agree.
like math and ELA and all that stuff too.
And I would add on that from my perspective, what I noticed that was different is that there was more for them to actually like intellectually engage with.
Definitely.
You had, and this is like, you haven't named it, but I want you to know, like, it's very clear you were planned for this lesson. You knew what they needed to do at the end, and you had those questions tied to that map to help get them there. Because, like, remember what we talked about in the PLC? Your job is not to trick them, right?
Nope.
Like,
It's to
you know where
guide
they need to
them
go.
there. Yeah.
and especially in 4th grade history, where, like, they don't have the context or the content background knowledge.
This is all new.
We've never taught it to them. So, like, you have a really hard job in that way. And so, you have to support them. You don't give away the answers, but you have to support them, which is what you did through those really strong questions when you were asking, what's in the north? What is there that's going to prevent that from going down? Okay, if there's a body of water, why does that matter? How is that going to affect an army? So, like, you were asking really, really strong questions, which all were leading to them understanding this content more so they could be able to answer that claim or make that claim later on. So, I think that I hear what you're saying about how you were, like, really on it and kind of, it sounds like, you know, not sweating the small stuff.
And it was also planned.
Exactly. Because here's the thing, I don't care how much you don't sweat the small stuff. If you don't give them something to do,
The small stuff will come up.
yeah, because if they, like, and you know, that's what happens if you are having a private conversation with a kid and everyone else is idly sitting there. Well,
I mean, what do I expect from them?
exactly. And so when you're that deeply planned and have that much to ask them and to ask them to think about, there's something for them to do. They want to do it. Most kids want to do the right thing. They just need to know what that is, right? And they need the guidance and the structure to get them there, okay?
Definitely.
So I really, really want you to, like, feel and recognize that, like, being that planned and getting kids involved in that way, like, that supported the lesson happening. That's what did it, you know? You can sit there all day long and, like, hand out demerits, but, like, at the end of the day, what are you asking them to do, you know?
Yep.
And that was really strong, this lesson. And I was really, really excited to see that. So you should feel that. What you did really, like, is supporting the action step that you currently have of, like, while you're internalizing or while you're planning and internalizing, be it a text or a map or a graph, to decide on questions that are going to support their understanding of it. You did that yesterday. I want to keep that as your action step because I think it's a big action step.
I think that's a good one.
It's hard, and I want that to stay, like, front of mind and focus for you. Okay.
Definitely. I agree.
So it stays in the planning that same way because I think, like, I can tell and I can see it in all of your lesson plans last week. Like, you're doing it, and I mean, it's gonna help. It's gonna help support their comprehension. But there's one tweak I want to make to the way that you did it that is going to engage them even more. So when you asked these CFUs, these questions, one thing you were doing that was strong was you were asking a question and then you were pausing and you were making sure everybody had some time to think about it, some time to look at the map, some time to think. And then, do you remember what you did each time after they thought? What did you do? What was your next step?
I think I was doing think, pair, shares.
I saw one
For the
think, pair,
most-
share.
For the most, so either think, pair, share, or think, share. I think is that what we?
Yeah. So I saw
So
one time
who's
I had them. I saw you guys partner up and they
Mhm.
talked with each other. Every other time though, which was 5
It was
times
just a
you
fake
asked one kid.
share.
Just gave them time to think, and then you asked for volunteers and you would call them too. Now, you had different voices, right? It wasn't like, I know there's some times when we've talked about where like it's one kid who seems kind of
Over
engaged.
and over.
And it wasn't that. You had multiple kids. But the issue with when you just call on one kid, not one kid, but if you ask a good check for understanding question, but you've only called on one kid, you now know that that one kid gets it. But do we know about everybody else?
So like a thing, like a calling that. What about like a calling that one kid and immediately after that? Does everybody understand that? Give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, but what are they gonna do?
Yeah, they're all just gonna put their
Right.
thumbs
So, but you're on the right track.
up. Okay.
Okay, so you're on the right track with that. So I think that there's so many different ways that you can. The idea is like you want to get the ratio up of like what the visible thinking is, right?
Definitely.
So with Think Pair Share, that's great because you ask a question, give them time either to look, like give them what they're doing. So like if the question is why, why would the body of water be a barrier in an army getting to Egypt? Something like that.
Mhm.
Ask the question
Mhm.
but make sure you're adding in like, use the map. What does the map tell you
Definitely.
about why this is going to be difficult? I want you to turn and talk to your partner. Remember, use your map in your evidence.
Definitely. That is.
Now you hear
verbiage I
everyone
did
talking.
not use.
Well, make sure they
A
use.
lot of them did,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
I definitely noticed that there was 5 or 6
Mhm.
that were just like, staring up,
Yes.
not utilizing.
So like, look, you
not
have it in front of
utilizing
you. Like,
that.
we're talking about the map. Use the map, right? You can visibly see them talking. You can hear what they're saying. So like, that's a really, really good check for understanding that actually.
The pair is almost better
Yes.
than the share.
Yes. And then you can call on, like, once you've heard, you're going to hear if someone has a strong answer, then call on them, right? Because that's them stamping what the correct answer is for the class.
Make sure everyone
Mhm.
is talking about the right answer.
Yes.
Right.
Another way you can do it is through the writing, okay? So
Okay.
that would be where you ask a question, say it's the same question, but instead of a think, pair, share, take 60 seconds to write in this box, how would the water prevent them from getting to Egypt? Go.
Think and then write, or just have them wrap it all into one.
It kind of
Because-
depends. I think it
because I-
depends on how difficult the question is.
Because I know I do that I feel like most of the times when I try doing,
Mm-hmm.
you just write your answer, you need to jot down your answer in the box.
Mm-hmm.
I'm then spending the next, not in our room, they're in upstairs. I feel like there's a lot of kids that just,
Don't write.
yeah, like I feel like I get way more engagement when they're talking to each other than
Writing is hard.
than the writing.
Writing is hard.
Yeah.
But they have to write.
Have to.
They have
They
to
gotta
write.
do it.
So when you tell them to do it, like tell me, I haven't seen it.
Same question.
Mm-hmm.
Say it's the same question. I need you to jot your answer down in the box on page 3. Why you think the body of water would make it difficult for an army to get to Egypt. And give it 60 seconds. Their voice is 0. Go. Lots of the time, I am then having to redirect to where that box is.
Okay.
And that's something that, I don't know if it's because I mostly have taught older grades previously, but I
So you
mean,
gotta-
like,
you gotta scaffold a little
I
more.
know they're on page 3. I've
So
already
here's what I want you to do.
turned to page 3, and
I'm
they
you.
are on page 3.
I'm you at the front of the room, you're a kid. Okay.
Okay.
Same question.
Okay.
Using the map, I want you to tell me, how is the body of water going to prevent the army from getting to Egypt? I want everybody to point the box in the middle of your page. Zion is pointing to the box. King is pointing to the box, narrate them
Mhm.
pointing to the box.
Yep.
Say the exact thing. Like you're pointing to it, they're pointing to it.
Got it.
You're gonna have 60 seconds to write in this box your answer. The question, I'm gonna say it again. How does the body of water prevent them from getting to Egypt? 60 seconds, go.
Mm-hmm.
Then narrate. Don't start redirecting yet. Narrate. Who's writing?
Okay.
Rain is writing. Da 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 is writing. Da da is writing.
Yep.
Don't, now you're gonna give it. You've done 3 of those narrations.
Mm-hmm.
Give a consequence. Do not engage in it. Chance you're not writing. I need you to write. Da da da. Like say it and move on.
You have
Say it and
yeah.
move on. Right. So it's the same thing, but I want like it's
Definitely feeling you on that. I definitely have.
it's specifically about the
I
action.
definitely have tried that
Mhm.
before with like the questions we're going to be answering later. Like point down to the claim
Mhm.
beneath the time. It's just, but that might help.
But when
time.
I
That might
see you
help time.
doing it, like when I see you checking, what I often see you doing is like walking up to every kid and being like, your hand is there, your hand is there, your hand is there, good. That takes a lot of your time.
Yeah.
I don't want you to, like, because that takes way too much time.
Narrate 3 kids.
Just narrate through kids, and you don't need to move. You're looking, right? The concept of like being seen looking, like you're looking at the class, like you can see
Yeah.
if someone's hand is pointing
Right.
or not, right?
Right.
You don't have to walk right up to them and be like, okay.
And then
You
I
can
could
see.
probably even, if someone's sitting next to that person, could you show them where the box is?
Mhm.
Show them where the box is. Kind of thing, which is really cool. Yeah.
And the thing is, if they're on the right page, they see the box. But it's a quick compliance check, and it doesn't get you into a situation where now you have to get into a power struggle with a kid
Right.
over where the box is.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
go to the box right there. No big deal. No one's in trouble, but do it. Right?
Right.
That's the effect of that narrating, and then the giving a consequence.
Yep.
Doesn't require you to engage. It also doesn't allow for any confusion from a kid.
Right.
We're all putting in the box.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, I want you to do it. And then I know you have to go.
Yeah.
So you're telling all of us that we're gonna, you know what you're doing?
On page 3, we're looking at the map on top. I want you to use that map to answer the question, what makes the body of water to the north hard for armies to get across? Everybody right now, I want you to point to that box. Blah, blah, pointing that box, blah, blah, pointing that box, blah, blah, pointing that box. Hey, I see you're pointing that box, could you help so-and-so find that? Okay, good, we're there now. All right, I'm gonna give you 60 seconds. Again, the question is, what makes it difficult about that body of water for armies to invade Egypt? 60 seconds to write down your answer in that box that you're pointing to. Ready? Go. Make sure you are using the map. Ready? Go.
You're not done.
Pierce is writing her answer down in the box using the map. Should I say all of that?
Nope, they're writing. Here's just writing.
Pierce is writing. So I don't need to say all of my directions when I narrate.
No, because you want
Or
to
narrate
provide
one
some
direct-
silence space for them to think.
I'm about to narrate one of the directions to this person, and then like is that a voice level 0? Like narrate 3 different directions.
You have some talkers over in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Narrate that there's a silent person,
Mm-hmm.
right? So sometimes you want to narrate around whatever
The
behavior
behaviors
is.
are narrating
remember
is
that from
based
last
on the
year?
behaviors.
Yes. So like if you have a group of kids talking over there,
Mm-hmm.
someone before you give the consequence for talking.
Right.
Nivea is silently
Narrating.
working.
Yep.
You're giving them that reminder of the silence.
Yep.
Now you've narrated it. Now you can give a consequence, right?
Yep.
But first, narrate the behavior you're looking for.
Gotcha.
So like the 2 things you want here, you want them silent and you want them writing. If the whole class is silent, don't narrate the silence.
that.
They're good.
If they're all writing, don't narrate
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Well, what if it's? I mean, even if it's just one kid off,
I should narrate that direction.
100%.
Okay.
That one kid still deserves that reminder of what I'm supposed to do.
Gotcha.
Cool?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're keeping that same action step,
Cool.
looking for that, but your next piece of it is how are you, and really at the end of the day, it's like, how are you understanding that you're using the check for understanding because you're literally checking, do they
Checking
understand?
for their understanding.
You've got to know if more than one kid understands.
Yeah.
So if they're all writing, okay, cool, we're working. If you have, here's the other thing, if you have 5 kids who really don't have anything to say,
Mm-hmm.
there's a very good chance they don't know what to say, they're confused.
Right, yeah.
That's really good information for you that you wouldn't have seen if like one engaged kid gives you the answer.
Right. Right.
And we'll talk next about like, then what do you do with that information?
Okay, that's what
Okay?
I'm saying. Okay.
We'll talk about that next,
That's what I
but
was
first you need to be able to visibly see who doesn't know.
Cool.
Cool? Okay, goodbye.
Yes.